This is the 10 scientifically impossible places. Hello everyone. Welcome to AWZ. Don't forget to subscribe our channel. It's possible that the natural wonders of the world have been given the names of quick wonders. There is the Grand Canyon, as well as Victoria Falls. Unquestionably huge, and everyone who views them will agree on that. Will without a doubt be impressed, but the sheer size is insufficient to really put a person out of their mind. Wow, I had no idea that there were other locations in this world. Despite the fact that these are significantly more bizarre locations, appear to be from another world, as if they could only exist on a planet that has undergone evolution. There are locations that are different from our own. That scientists have had to fight for their findings in order to comprehend how they were ever able to have taken shape to become locations that will actually cause you to ponder things, not just due to the fact that they're stunning, but not just due to the fact that they appear to obey scientific rules that have not been established somewhere else on the face of the world. 10. The Devil's Kettle. The Devil's Kettle is where natural secrets go. In the state of Minnesota is among the most ones that, at a specific time, are fascinating. Along the Brule River, the water of the river may be seen. Divides into two parts. One part continues its previous function route onto Lake Superior, and the rest of the other division, we have no idea where it went. Scientists are aware that here is where it must come to an end. Someplace, although we are unsure exactly where that is. When did scientists first try to put dye into the pot, then waited to see which one would come out on top? A portion of the lake reveals hues that were previously hidden. An attempt that was for nothing because nothing came up next. They made the decision to test it out using ping pong. They disappeared completely without a trace as well. Whatever the heck is going on, we are all aware of it. The scientific rules stipulate that the water will always has no choice but to surface at some point, regardless of where it being kept buried under the surface. There should be identifying markers, and it need to be traceable. Aliens parallel universe malfunction. You probably programmed some Mayan ruse, don't you think? 9. HESSDALEN lights. Illuminates the locals in HESSDALEN and the valley. The people of Norway are always residing in a realm of significant intellectual conundrum virtually. They are the night lights that arise in the sky. They twist and dance around brilliant hues of bright colors, shapes, unmistakably, and vanish only to reappear later on, come into view the night before the next day. For the past 40 years, this has been going on. At the very least, scientific experts are baffled. Despite this, there are other hypotheses floating about. But none of these appears to be enough given that, since the early 1930s, at the very least, individuals have observed the lights and speculated on what they may mean. Might be the reason for them, according to one idea. Hints that the lake may contain radioactive material. Radon travels on dust particles and rides upon them at higher elevations. It deteriorates and starts to create lights. According to a second hypothesis, the foundation of the valley is completely saturated with sulfuric acid. The reaction of sulfur with water results in the production of the phenomenon that researchers refer to as sparks. Hundreds of a series of experiments have been carried out in order to the precise reason, although it did not figure. 8. MOVILE Cave. MOVILE Cave is located in the southeast. In Romania, there is a grotto that has been sealed up away from any trace of light throughout the duration of the 5.25 million years, and that's only the beginning. Has a very different feeling than the other one. It was uncovered from the ground that the cave was there by laborers who were interested in establishing a power plant. They examined the soil to determine if it was suitable. It was a secure location for construction, and it was cracked. Create a doorway that may be entered into one of the most peculiar locations on our planet. If you go down the shaft, it will be quite narrow. After going through a maze of tunnels, you will eventually come at a location with a lake of sulfuric water. The atmosphere there smells strongly like rotting eggs. Hazardous since it is packed with hydrogen sulfide and infected with 100 times the surface contamination. The most peculiar aspect is the amount of carbon dioxide. Notwithstanding this, one component is the fact that an entire ecosystem has managed to hold out inside of it. 33 different species have been discovered by the researchers. The hidden cavern that can't be found anyplace. Away from it, they've molded themselves in order to endure in an environment dominated by sulfur, surviving via sustaining itself off of the foam that sits on the stones. 7. Lake KARACHAY had a large number of nuclear facilities, and the majority of them were poorly organized and dangerous on the inside. A lake is located near one of these factories. Lake water is more radioactive than other types of water. More material than can be found anyplace else on the planet. Because Lake KARACHAY contains such high levels of radioactivity, you will pass away within the hour if you remain standing close to it. Waste from nuclear reactors was discharged into the lake. Their usage of nuclear technology has resulted. There have been very few issues with the lake in the past. The plant was completely destroyed by an explosion in 1957. Besides the radioactive particles, aside from spanning a distance of almost 23,000 kilometers, this location has a higher radiation level than Chernobyl. The lake's bottom has been filled up with concrete in order to prevent these catastrophes from occurring. Despite this, the whole location has an eerie vibe. Unstable and heavily contaminated with radioactivity. 6. The Double Tree of CASORZO. In the rural areas of the Piemonte region of Italy, there is a peculiar sight. There is a weird sight. There is a cherry tree there that faces the door the most. In all aspects identical to those of any other healthy cherry tree, with the exception of the fact that it is growing on the very top of a mulberry tree. This is not an entirely unheard of occurrence. Out of other trees have developed ones that are parasitic. Earlier, but in general, they are rather diminutive. Creatures that are physically deformed and have limited lifespans. Just before to their fall from the twin tree. Despite this, orzo is made up of two fully cooked halves. Developed robust trees, each of which extending their branches 5 meters across. Nobody really understands how everything went down. The villagers are of the opinion that a bird may have been the scattered a cherry seed on the top of the mulberry tree, from which the seed developed into roots that try to break through the hollow of the mulberry tree trunk, and its branches extended all the way to the earth underneath, which enables it to continue living and growing. 5. The Sleeping City of Kalachay. The city of Sleeping Kalachay is also known as the city of Kalachay. Kazakhstan is not Disney's. It is the most genuine thing. There is creation. Residents of KALACH are confronted with a rather unusual situation. Pandemic individuals just drop into slumber unexpectedly. Even when I was strolling along the road, they often claim problems with weariness and memory loss. Hallucinations that are caused by the outbreak. Individuals of various ages and genders from all across the world. Kazakhstan has even urged evacuations, but they are not any closer to finding a solution. Finding a solution to the issue that one theory predicts indicates the locals are contending with a problem of some type due to the fact that the area is contaminated with radiation in close proximity to a uranium mine. On the other hand, there are problems with that hypothesis. Each of the blood tests further monitoring has shown no positive results. Evidence. The second piece of evidence is that there is a town which is KALACH, and they are closer to the mine than you would think. Four circles of Namibia. There is an intersection of 4 circles in Namibia. Ecological enigma present all over the deserts of Namibia. There are fields of a patch of grass with circles at extremely constant and regular intervals. The circles flawlessly executed, and scores can go as high as 10 to a diameter of 65 meters. Scientists don't bother trying to explain the circles, do not even have a firm grasp on the more fundamental questions such as why there are circles. For example, why not just any arbitrary form? Nothing develops. Researchers have found scientific evidence in these circular patches. Develop a wide range of hypotheses, have been disproved nearly promptly. In 2013, Norbert Jurgens, an environmental. It was speculated by scientists that termites were the reason behind the circles. However, as of 2015, biologist Walter Schinkel tested both the hypothesis and the counterargument against it. 3. The hum of TAOS. The hum of TAOS, a humming that is just barely audible, a sound that you are unable to localize, can frustrate you to no end. We have all been in that situation, when a far away either our lawnmower or our television starts generating a buzzing sound. And unless and until we identify where it is, we will not proceed. It seems to be emanating from our head, at least it seems like that. Is consuming itself from the inside out. Imagine the agony and the constant disappointment of citizens of the town of Taos in the state of New Mexico. Since the beginning of the 1990s, a significant portion of Taos's population has moved. Complaints were made concerning an ongoing buzzing sound that may be picked up anywhere one goes town, and has been driving residents absolutely crazy for throughout the past 20 years. A variety of researchers tried to find the source of the hum but was unsuccessful. Success experienced by certain scientists. It has been postulated that the citizens of the town are incredibly sensitive to sound and may pick up on it. Things typical people can't, but doesn't do it either, that give rise to more inquiries than it does. 2. Never-ending lightning storm in western Venezuela. There is a bridge that crosses the Catatumbo River. Beginning around 7 o'clock in the morning, an ongoing storm. Every night, thunder and lightning may be heard above water for a total of 10 hours each, and every night 260 every night of the year. Nobody can say for certain why it keeps happening. The predominating theory up until very recently was that uranium was involved in some way with whatever it was in the bedrock, despite the fact that researchers are beginning to have second thoughts about it. The idea is a difficult one, since it states that might be attributed to the mountain's distinctive form. The warm trade winds are going to meet with the frigid winds. Clash of air from the Andes, with which after then, it was driven by the quickly vanishing water below, as well as methane coming from a nearby source oil field. No one genuinely is certain about anything. Despite this, everything has to do with why it happens. It is shrouded in mystery, especially one particular instance in 2010 was the year that it suddenly halted one of them. Day without more incident, the storm finally subsided. 1. The boiling river. Explanation. And for a while there it appeared to be over. Then, after a period of reticence lasting about 6 weeks, it rekindled itself and is currently blazing out of control ever since reaching the top spot, the raging river that runs deep into the Amazon rainforest, a river that is 4 miles long and completely different from any other person on Earth. Tim is the Shanai. The Fishka is at such a high temperature that any animal that anyone goes into it will be scalded to death when a helpless creature flounders before your eyes. Cook first until the butter melts in its head, then shortly the animal is in too much discomfort for us to retain it. Its mouth is constantly being filled with water as it swims to safety. And lungs, and the dish is prepared. When the sun is directly overhead, the river may reach 91 degrees Celsius or 196 degrees Fahrenheit. Even the scientific community is not entirely certain. The reason why water that gets to be this hot generally is nourished by a volcano, but this one is 700 million years old. And lots of kilometers apart from the one that is closest to it. Despite this, scientists do have a hypothesis on it. Consider the possibility that the boiling water came from the ground underneath us, splits apart due to faults, outlines and amplifies the river's temperature, producing a geothermal system that is unlike any other water. This is all for today. Check out other videos on our channel. Thank you for being with us.